Growing up, were you the one who was always blamed within your family system, always being the problem? No one else was ever held accountable for their actions? You might have, in general, just been viewed as bad by your family members. If that's the case, you're the scapegoat. In the dysfunctional family system, which has a number of roles, the role that was imposed on you was the one of the scapegoat. And what happens when a role is imposed on you as a child, you grow up and you might internalize not just that role, but what that role says about you. So if you incorporated being the scapegoat as your self-image, it might be time to do the work to stop this intergenerational pattern, because that's what these family roles are. They are passed down from one generation to the next. But doing the work to stop that intergenerational pattern, because staying stuck in that rigid role of the scapegoat, even if you're not stuck externally, but you are internally, can lead you to being very unhappy as an adult. It can lead you to recreate a dysfunctional family. It can also lead you to engage in self-destructive behaviors or even move towards addiction. So the consequences of growing up with this role can be quite severe, yet the scapegoat also usually grows up with considerable strengths. So I want to share some things today that will help you in your healing journey and help you begin to see this entire dynamic differently and see yourself differently. So as I said, if you grew up as the scapegoat, you may actually have internalized that feeling of I'm bad, I'm the problem. So the number one step towards healing is to overcome these negative core beliefs. And these negative core beliefs developed because of what was happening in your family system. The fact that you were given the role as the bad one. And for you to survive, you actually had to, this is going to sound a little counterintuitive, but you actually had to align with your caregivers and take on that identity for you to survive. That's why these negative beliefs become such a deep-seated core identity, is that they actually developed to sort of protect you. And I know that might sound really like conflictual, but understanding that you didn't really have a choice. Now, why were you chosen as the scapegoat? This really did not have much to do with you. The role of the hero child was probably already taken, although not always. Sometimes the scapegoat is the oldest. But for whatever reason, the family dynamic ended up putting this role on you. Sometimes people just don't fit in their family systems. They're very different. They don't like sports and everybody else in the family likes sports, or they're too brainy, or they're not brainy enough. There's all sorts of reasons, and also some of these things do end up being kind of imposed. They're not even true. So knowing that you're not bad, you're not defective, really learning to overcome those negative core beliefs, and I'll have a resource for you at the end because I know it's not easy to do, but developing more positive core beliefs will be critical to living a happier life. All right, number 2, as the scapegoat, I bet you have a lot of strengths. So really beginning to focus on those strengths that you have. Often scapegoats grow up to be the most resilient person in their family. They've lived through a lot. They've had a lot of struggles. They've had to persevere. And if you have done that, you have a lot of resilience and strength and dedication. Scapegoats often are also the truth tellers in the family, which might be why they're scapegoated, right? They're the ones who are like, hey, no, this is what's happening here. This isn't the problem. Like, that is the problem. And the family doesn't want to see it. So truth tellers often get attacked within their family system, and that attack can transfer to be everything, and then they're scapegoated for everything. And truth tellers grow up to be advocates for other people. A lot of the people who work in the advocacy field, say advocating for domestic violence victims, or advocating for people living in poverty, or those people who don't have a voice in our society. The other advantage of the truth truth teller is that you see reality. You see what is actually going on, which is actually very healthy and very helpful for moving forward, making decisions, and making choices. You're probably the person in your family system who's the least in denial. So that resiliency combined with seeing reality as it is, those are huge strengths. So a lot of people who grow up with these very rigid roles go outside their family, they make a lot of progress, they feel like they're really doing great, they go back into the family system and they go right back into that role, or they get into a relationship that re-triggers that role. But lasting change is possible and it is worth it. So I encourage you to engage in that healing journey. I do have a free PDF called Transform Your Negative Core Beliefs. I think it could be super helpful for you. I hear from people that really help them a lot, and it helps you identify what that negative core belief is, come up with the positive that we can substitute, and it gives you 3 methods to practice, to, regular practical exercises to begin to rewire that core belief. That PDF is linked in the description to this video. Check it out and come back next week. I will have more for you. If you liked this video, please do give it a like. All right, see you next week.